Thank you for clicking on this video. Just a quick message before the video begins. My name is Paras Joshee and I currently have kidney failure as my kidney transplant failed in 2022. I am currently looking for a live kidney donor. If you would like to donate directly to me or even anonymously, then please see the description. The current wait for a cadaveric kidney transplant in the UK is up to 2 to 3 years. However, with a live donation, it can take only 3 to 6 months, which is much quicker for the recipient. And the surgery is more likely to be successful, and the transplant will last a much longer time than from a cadaveric donor or deceased donor. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Paras Joshee, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my story with chronic kidney disease, kidney failure, dialysis and kidney transplantation. I apologise from the beginning as I'm not a very good speaker or talker really, but I'll try my best, and my story might not be in chronological order, but again I'll do my best. I'm not a medical doctor, so please don't take any advice from this. I'm just relaying my experiences, which may help you. It may also help you if you want to be a kidney donor, and you may be able to see how much giving a kidney can help another person in transforming their life so that they can live their life like they did before chronic kidney disease or dialysis. My journey started in 2006 when I was around 16 or 17 years old. At that age, one day I discovered that I had hematuria, and hematuria is when you have blood in the urine. So when you urinate, you may see that the color of your urine is very dark brown, even red, due to the blood in the urine, which can happen when a person's kidneys are failing because of high blood pressure, where protein and blood leak into the urine and then come out when you urinate. At first, I didn't think anything of it because when you're 17 years old, to some extent, you believe you're invincible. And I didn't have any idea about what kidneys were, what even the bladder was properly then. But I told my GP, and I gave a blood sample and urine sample to the GP, thinking that it was probably just a urine infection, which they could give antibiotics for. So the next day, when I was in college, I was probably studying or in a class or something, or maybe doing something stupid, and I got a phone call saying from the GP saying that I needed to urgently come to them again and give another blood test and urine tests, and I had to keep doing that for a couple of days to make sure that there was indeed something that was wrong. So after this, the GP referred me to the hospital, and I had to go to hospital for about 2 to 3 weeks to have investigative procedures done, such as an endoscopy. I had a lot of x-rays done, a lot of ultrasounds, MRIs, colonoscopies, cystoscopies, just everything to try to find out what was going on. At the end of the 3-week period, the doctors came and I found out that I had chronic kidney disease. And at that time, when you're 17 years old, you don't really understand what that means. I didn't understand the ramifications that would have on my life, really. I thought that there would be some kind of cure. Maybe they could just give me some tablets and I'll be fine. But the nature of the disease is that it's chronic, so it just gets worse with time. And the only thing that the doctors can do is to try to halt the progress of the disease by giving you blood pressure medications or controlling diabetes if you have diabetes to stop the kidneys failing further. At that time, I was in chronic kidney disease stage 3. So chronic kidney disease is divided into stages of 5, where stage 1 is the least amount of damage to the kidney, where there may be slight scarring, and stage 5 being end stage kidney disease, which is when a person would have to go into renal replacement therapy such as dialysis to stay alive. The specific disease that I had was called IgA nephropathy. So this is where IgA proteins that are part of the immune system deposit into the kidneys, and they stop the glomeruli working properly in the kidneys. or the nephrons, and this causes kidney scarring, which in turn makes your blood pressure very high. And then the more scarring that occurs due to the IgA proteins, the higher your blood pressure goes, which damages your kidney. So it's a vicious cycle. When I went into the hospital, my blood pressure was very high, so in the 230s for the systolic and about 170, 180 diastolic. So it was very dangerous for me and my heart. So I had to go into blood pressure medications, which brought down my blood pressure a little bit. So after kind of being educated in what kidney disease was and trying to educate myself on what was wrong with me, I decided to go on a health lifestyle change and try to halt the progress of the disease as much as possible. So I changed my diet. I started exercising a lot more. It's not as if I wasn't healthy before. I still ate normally. I didn't used to eat very unhealthy food. But some things that I did notice when I was younger, so from the age of about 12 or 13, was that I always used to have headaches, and I always had a cold. Maybe normally a person gets a cold maybe once or twice a year, but I had a cold throughout the year, every single month, and I just couldn't get rid of it. So maybe these are kind of some signs that you may have kidney disease. You may also notice that you have a lot of puffiness, so puffiness in the ankles, in the face, in the hands and wrists, and this is mainly due to fluid retention because the kidneys aren't working as well as they should be working. And I wish I would have gone and got my kidneys checked much earlier. In fact, my grandmother on my mother's side, she had kidney failure. However, in those days, in that was around in the 1950s or 60s, they didn't have the technology that they possess now, so they couldn't detect it earlier or the cause why my grandmother got the kidney disease in the first place. And it may be genetic, why I got this immune disorder as well. So you have two kidneys, and one of my kidneys had IgA nephropathy, and the other kidney, when they biopsied it, it had shrunk to a really small size. But they weren't sure why this happened. It could have been at birth that the kidney didn't form fully or correctly. But again, in those days, they didn't have the technology to take scans of the kidneys and the organs like they do these days when a baby or child is born. But it's a really good idea to get yourself checked out as soon as possible if you notice any symptoms of kidney disease. So anyway, in around 2007, when I had the chronic kidney disease stage 3, I decided to make those lifestyle changes. I lost a lot of weight. It was probably to the point where I was going a bit underweight. My BMI was around 17 or 18. So I did this in the hope that it would halt my kidney disease as much as possible. But unfortunately, within a year, the IgA nephropathy had progressed so much that I was at stage 5 kidney failure and I would have to go into dialysis, unfortunately. And the doctor said that IgA nephropathy may take it may be a year until you go to kidney failure. It may be 3 to 5 years, could be even 20 years. But unfortunately, the way it was progressing in my kidneys made my kidneys fail after 1 year. So in about 2008, I had to go on dialysis. So at first, I went to the hospital and had to have an emergency catheter put in, emergency line into my leg, because that's where your major arteries are. And this was because my potassium levels and GFR was, well, my potassium levels were so high that it was dangerous for my heart. So they decided to give me emergency dialysis. And I did dialysis that day for about 3.5 hours. And it was the first time I did dialysis, it was exhausting and it was so tiring that I just felt like falling over and blacking out after the session. I was at the hospital that day for about 12 hours waiting for consultants to come round doing the surgery. And the surgery is done under a local anesthetic, so it's not under even a general anesthetic. Because when a patient has kidney failure, they have trouble with their breathing because of the fluid retention, and you don't make any urine, so you don't pass much water. So putting you under a general anesthetic is quite dangerous. So everything's normally done under a local anesthetic. So I did that dialysis, and I found out I had to do dialysis every day to bring down my creatinine levels, which are the creatinine levels are the breakdown of muscle in your body, which if it's not filtered by your kidneys, it can become toxic and poisonous for all your other organs. So I did dialysis for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then I had another catheter put into my neck. So that's called a tunnel line catheter. So through that catheter, you can do dialysis on the traditional dialysis machines, and I did dialysis every other day for about a month, um, which was again it was very tiring. Each dialysis session lasts about 4 hours, and you have to do it 3 days out of 7 in the week. In reality, the whole thing takes about 6 hours because it takes an hour to get to the facility where they do dialysis. Then someone has to put you onto the machine, a nurse or a technician, and then you have to stay on the machine for 4 hours. Wait to come off again, which takes another hour, and then traveling home takes another hour as well. So I was there from about 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. So after this hemodialysis period for about a month, I tried to go on a different type of dialysis that you can do at home, which is called CAPD. So it stands for continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis. And this type of dialysis is where the surgeons they insert a catheter into your stomach. So it's an artificial catheter that they put into your stomach, and dialysate fluid goes into your stomach. And through the process of osmosis between the peritoneum and the dialysate fluid, the toxins from the peritoneum are through osmosis go into that fluid and then come out of your body again. So there's about 3 liters that go into your stomach. All the toxins gather in that fluid, and then the fluid comes out with the toxins again. So I tried this dialysis, but unfortunately, the tubing inside of the catheter may have flipped over after a couple of days, and then I had to have another surgery to correct for that flipping over of the tube. And then after about a week or two, I tried to do the dialysis again, but it wouldn't work, unfortunately, as there may have been a blockage or the tube may have flipped over again. And I also ended up getting an exit site infection, and the catheter had to be taken out. So after this, I decided not to do that type of dialysis and go back to hemodialysis again. So I did hemodialysis every other day of the week, again taking 6 hours each time. Um, and I was very restricted in what I could eat, what I could drink. So as you may know, foods with high potassiums, high phosphate weren't allowed at all. So things like potatoes, tomatoes, chocolate, cheeses, many types of food are completely restricted on dialysis because your kidneys can't filter those minerals or electrolytes out. So if you have an imbalance of those electrolytes, then it can affect your heart and other organs. So at first I thought I didn't really know what dialysis was, and I had to educate myself on what was even going on. Because everything was done so quickly that I didn't understand the reason for dialysis. I mean, there's some people who think dialysis is a choice. It's definitely not a choice. It's something that a person with kidney failure definitely has to do if they want to survive. Without dialysis, a person's not going to be able to survive for more than about 2 weeks, and then unfortunately they die. So it's it's necessary and imperative, even though it's renal replacement therapy. It doesn't completely recover your function as a kidney would. It probably cleans about 10% of your blood, and then you're on the edge of life or death for that amount of time that you're on dialysis. So you're always kind of exhausted, like a zombie. From one side, your doctors are telling you not to eat this, not to eat that, do this, do that, and from the other side, the dietitian is telling you to control your fluid intake, control how many calories you eat, and all of it is just completely so tiring that by the end you feel like you don't want to live anymore. You just want to give up. And there are so many times where you do want to give up, and people that I've talked to that just don't want to do dialysis anymore. But you have to keep fighting, you have to keep going and surviving for the people that you love and the people that love you. So I kept doing hemodialysis, feeling like a zombie. Every time I finished dialysis, I always felt like I was just about to black out because your blood pressure comes down after dialysis as it's pulling fluid off your body. And in the days between, I used to feel really so thirsty. Like I felt like I was in a desert because you're not allowed to drink fluid again. Maybe only you're only allowed to drink about 500 to 800 milliliters a day. Otherwise, it can affect your dialysis, and again, it makes you really tired and just wants just makes you want to give up. Sometimes I used to go to sleep at night and think I probably won't wake up again because my blood pressure was so low. Thank you for joining me in part one of my journey with chronic kidney disease, kidney failure, dialysis. Please join me for part two, where I'll talk about what happened after the kidney transplant. I believe it's important not just to get your dialysis and then get your transplant, then forget about it, but we must share our journey so that it can help others and even save someone who's waiting on the waiting list for a transplant. I'm not expecting to get thousands and thousands of subscribers or viewers from my channel or these videos, but if you do enjoy the videos, then please consider subscribing and liking the video so that we can spread awareness and increase awareness about organ donation. I've also included some helpful links to organisations that do a lot of work for organ donation linked in the description. Until next time.